This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by trainer Jame Moore over Zoom. Jame, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. I'm as good as can be. We've sort of getting back into the gist of it now in the gym with the lads and stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit better than we have been over the last few months.
No, that's good to hear. Now, obviously, we know that fighters are returning to the gyms around the country now, and your gym's no different. How have you found maybe the first couple of weeks or so with people kind of just slowly easing back into some type of camp?
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal because obviously people have got to keep the distance from each other as best you can. Luckily, we've got a big gym, so there's plenty of space. But it's basically all about getting a bit of base conditioning in at this moment in time, because the lads have, and Chantel obviously, have been ticking over as best they can. But just making sort of the best of the situation, what they've got, and just basically running, keeping a little bit of base fitness. So for the first couple of weeks, we've just been trying to sort of widen that base and give them a better platform for them to be able to push on then whenever they do get a date. So there's not really any proper dates going around yet. There's a possibility Frampton and Akib both might be fighting sort of around about end of July, early August, but nothing nowhere near in concrete yet. So we're just waiting to find out.
When the fighters returned to training, was there anyone in particular who surprised you by just how much they looked like they'd been putting in away from the gym?
All of them. I've got to be honest. Every one of them came back better than I thought they would do. Especially, you think about fighters like Carl, Martin and Rocky, who were at that later stage of their career and probably could have been forgiven for taking their eye off the ball and going, well, it won't take long to get back in. They've been through a training camp so many times. They understand the body. So the younger fighters like Akib and stuff, I expected to be in shape because they're eager and, they sort of, it's a new thing to them. So they're eager to sort of crack on with it. But like I say, every one of them come back. I had a conversation with Dave Allen because he was new to the gym and saying, if you're going to give yourself the best chance, then you're better off getting your weight roughly to around about where you want to be when you're boxing, so that we can concentrate on the other stuff, what you need to work on. And I could see it. So he was putting videos and pictures on Instagram over the next couple of weeks after the conversation. You could see he was losing weight and he took it all on board. So yeah, every one of them have surprised me in their own little way, and they've all come back in good shape.
Let's just start to try to work through your fights before we come on to a few other things. Start off with Dave Allen, as you mentioned him there. How has he looked since he's joined up with you guys in your first week or two working together?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's early days, and he's only been in a couple of times, but everything what we're sort of talking about, the little changes what we need to make, he's taking it on board, and he looks enthusiastic, and he looks like he's got a bit of a spring in his step, and he's enjoying it. So that's the main thing, and I feel like if we can get him to enjoy it and enjoy coming to the gym, that's you're only going to get the best out of someone like that then. So maybe timing wise, it's right. He's people have said it for a long time about him, saying he needs to knuckle down and stuff like that. But maybe it wasn't the right time for him mentally in the past. Maybe this is the right time now, and it's time he realises that he's sort of getting on towards the end of his career, and he's only probably got a couple of years left to fulfil his potential. And so he's got all that experience on board. Plus, he's still probably young and fresh enough to still fix those or right those wrongs and put it into practice. So yeah, looks enthusiastic.
Now, obviously, I know he's had a little table tennis rivalry with Carl Frampton in the past. What are Dave's living arrangements? Because I saw a post earlier that he's moved to Manchester. I don't suppose him and Carl have moved in together, have they?
No, they've not moved in together. No, he's actually just put a thing on. It was 2 years today that they actually played table tennis. So he's just put a thing on the group this morning saying, I said it was a close game. It wasn't a close game. Carl whitewashed him really, but he said the conditions wasn't right. He wants a rematch. So I think we might end up getting a table tennis table in the gym and let him have a rematch.
I'm sure we can stream that over Boxing Social as well, Jamie.
No problem at all.
Obviously, moving away from Dave, and obviously his young protege, Danny Murrell. What have been your thoughts on seeing Danny in the gym as well?
But Danny came down with the first time he came, so he's only been in the gym once, Dan, but he's a lovely kid, nice kid. So I've not seen him spar yet. I've only seen a few little clips of him on social media and stuff when he's been boxing as an amateur. So you know, my opinion of him as a fighter, I haven't got one yet because I haven't really seen him. But in terms of a personality, he's a lovely kid, and he seems enthusiastic. He seems like he wants it, and listening to Dave talk to him and coach him, not just in the gym, but like when I've watched the videos of him talking, Dave knows what he's talking about as well. He's obviously got a lot of knowledge in his head, and probably just not able to carry it through and put it into practice because maybe conditioning wasn't there for whatever reason. So that in itself to me says that there's potential there. But I think he'll make a good coach for Danny. I think they've got a good relationship, and he'll probably get the best out of him because of that.
Obviously, away from those two and on to Carl, who we briefly mentioned earlier on. How's Carl looking since he's coming back into camp? And what kind of I know you said that he's got a fight which could happen. There's nothing concrete there as of yet. But what are his plans? I know he was looking at that Jamal Herring fight. All of that's kind of had to be put on the back burner because of lockdown and travel restrictions and what have you. What have those early discussions kind of been between yourself, Carl, and MTK and what have you?
I think the plan, the sort of end goal is still Herring, and they're hoping that, you know, Herring's looking like he's going to box first, and Carl will, both sort of in their own individual fights, and then hopefully they'll fight each other if they both come through successfully towards the end of the year, more likely probably November, December time. So that is still the plan, fingers crossed. But God, in this ever-changing world, it's madness at the minute, so you can't really make any concrete plans because you just don't know what's around the corner. But that is the sort of outline plan, and fingers crossed we can follow through with it.
Away from Carl and Stephen Ward, we know Stephen was looking to move up to cruiserweight now when he come back. Yeah. How's Stephen been looking? How's he been feeling, obviously, since his defeat in the Golden Contract?
Well, obviously, it was disappointing for him, and it was he was gutted. Obviously, no one wants to go out like that, especially in a tournament like that. It's a big platform for him. But I'd felt he'd outgrown light heavyweight a long time ago. Even when he first came to me, I said to him, "You're not a light heavyweight, you're a cruiserweight." And he was adamant that he could get down and make it safer. And we was always monitored it and kept an eye on it. And he was the only reason he could ever make light heavyweight is because he's so disciplined. He really is such a disciplined athlete. But I always felt like he was taken away from himself. And he looks a different fighter. He just, you know, his stature, he seems huge now. You know, even though obviously he hasn't got any taller, but he seems taller because he's so full. I mean, he came in the gym and he weighed something like 15.8, 15.9 or something like that. And he's still got abs. You know, you're talking about, for him to have been able to get down to 12.7, he's crazy, but it's a testament to his discipline. That's the only way I can put it, because he should never have been able to do it. And you know, obviously there's that bigger gap from light heavy to cruiser, that the naturally so much bigger. So that in itself brings a different problem to our situation. But Stevie's he's got good athleticism for the size of him as well. You know, we did this big run last Saturday, and he dusted everyone. He was like at the front of it, and you know, for someone so big, he's very, very mobile and athletic. So as long as he keeps that mobility, he'll be an handful at cruiserweight.
I was going to ask you, what do you feel like he can achieve at cruiserweight? Because domestically, certainly, you know, there could be some great fights over in the UK.
Yeah, of course, and that's the thing. So we don't know what he's going to be like at cruiserweight because it's an unanswered question yet. But my feeling is we'll get the best out of him. And talent-wise, he's definitely capable of winning a British title. He's, you know, there's some good stiff competition at cruiserweight, but Steve has got the capabilities to beat anyone. He's a very successful amateur, well schooled, and now I feel like he's fighting at his strongest weight where himself will be physically better. So yeah, I'm excited about seeing how he develops because it's a big step up. You know, he's 20 pound or something. It's a huge gap, which, you know, is not ideal really. You've got to think when the Boxing Board of Control moved cruiserweight from 13.7 to 14.4, maybe they should have looked at maybe introducing super cruiserweight at about 14.5 stone and done a different weight, because it is a big, massive gap. But yeah, I'm excited about seeing how he performs.
Moving away from Stephen on to Rocky Fielding. Rocky was someone again he's kind of been waiting around for another chance to kind of have another crack at trying to get back onto the world scene. I know that he kind of called out John Ryder, and John Ryder accepted that call out with an interview with myself. Is that a fight you think we could see a rematch between the pair 3 years on from their first bout?
Yeah, I don't see why not. You know, especially in these sort of times when getting foreign opposition or people from abroad to come over and it's going to be difficult. So to sort of make good fights, competitive fights, you're going to be looking more likely to be around Britain. So it probably makes sense for them both. It probably didn't make sense. It probably only made sense for John Ryder straight after the first fight. And then Rocky lost to Canelo and was in a bit of a no man's land, and John Ryder had a couple of good wins. So Rocky was probably in a position where he was thinking, I'd like the Ryder fight now, but it wouldn't have made sense for Ryder because he had momentum and he'd won an eliminator or final eliminator. So maybe the time's right for it to be done now. And style-wise, it's a good fight, you know. And I know because I was around helping Oliver out in the gym with Martin and Rock when because they was both still training at Oliver's gym then when the first fight took place. And I know Rocky didn't have a great camp and he wasn't in a good place going into that first fight. But I know Ryder's come on in leaps and bounds since that first fight as well. So it's an intriguing fight, and I like the fight. I think style-wise, it's a good fight for Rock, especially when he's on his game. So, but I've got a lot of respect for John. I like him. He's a nice kid, and like I say, he's coming in leaps and bounds. So yeah, that'd be a great fight if it could be made. And I'm sure, by the sound of what Eddie said about it, he's not sort of, he's not behind the door. I think he likes the idea of the fight as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's obviously early doors as of yet. We know that Eddie's got the fight camp proposal in play, and he's trying to put shows on in the Matchroom HQ back gardens. But a fight like Fielding Ryder, it's a very good competitive fight. Many could have it higher up a show if you had an audience and what have you. What level of opposition or what level of fights do you feel we will see at the behind closed door shows? Is that fight too good to be put on behind closed doors, or is it the right level? What are your thoughts?
I'd probably say that's probably about the top level you're going to get before we start getting crowds back, because you know you're talking about lads who have fought at world level, but you know, for whatever reason, you know, Rocky won a world title in Germany, got lost to Canelo. John Ryder was pushed Callum Smith really close, and it was a great fight to watch. So they both proved the worth at that level, and I don't think you're going to get anything above that level because of the money involved. So hopefully that can be made, but I think you'll probably get some domestic level fights, you know, what probably be worthy of fighting for the British title. What you wouldn't have got if this situation was in place, because people would have probably looked for a bit of an easier fight, whereas the situation's going to be you either take a fight like this or you're not going to box. So they're going to be forced into it in a little bit of a way. But I love domestic fights. There's a bit of history. There seems to always be a little bit more needle. And, you know, sometimes it goes back to the amateur days where they might have boxed each other as amateurs. So I just love domestic fights where there's a bit of story to it. So hopefully a few more can be made.
Just the final person in your gym I want to get a few words on. I know you've got a few other fighters I won't have the time to touch on because you're a busy man. You've got to shoot off to the gym to train the rest of the guys. But
Yeah.
Jack Catterall obviously is waiting for that WBO mandatory kind of position to be sorted as Jose Ramirez and Victor Postel were due to fight. What is Jack's knowledge of how everything lies with that?
Mate, Jack Catterall, out of all the fighters during this situation, this has been going on for far longer for Jack. It's so frustrating. So you can imagine he was just seemed to be getting, there was talk about him maybe getting an interim title fight because of the situation. And it's just politics. It's nobody else's fault, really. Even though it's so frustrating, it's understandable. You know, he was Hooker's mandatory. He took on unification, which comes first. Ramirez won. Ramirez then already had Pistol as his mandatory. So Jack's just got to wait. And as frustrating as it is, it's understandable. But then to add even more frustration, just when he feels like he's getting to the point where he looks like there's the light at the end of the tunnel and he might get this interim title fight, which is not ideal. You don't want to fight for the interim title. You want to fight for the full world title. But if it's a choice of not fighting at all or doing that, then you're going to do that because at the end of the day as well, he's just bought a new house and moved in with his missus. So he needs to earn money. And it just looked like he was going to be moving forward a little bit with a promise then of fighting the winner. And then it's all this has happened. So I can't fault his discipline and his dedication going back to, I mean, this has been going on for over 18 months for him now. Going back, you know, since he fought Owada Davis, he's been sort of asking that question, when am I going to get me world title shot? And it's dragged on for whatever reason. And he's stayed in the gym, he's improved, he's took everything on board, he's put it into practice. He's had a couple of fights in that time as well, which are dangerous because you can take your eye off the ball a little bit, you know. But his last performance, I thought, was fantastic out in Dubai. He fought a tough German kid who, if it had took him lightly, could have given him big problems. And all the stuff when Jack came to me 2 years ago, all the stuff what I said to him, what he should work on, what would make him a better fighter, he put into practice that in that fight. You know, he needed a bit more sort of energy, a bit more go bigger engine, a few gears, and he put it all into practice. He looked great. So I'm confident that when he gets his opportunity, he'll pull it off. I really do rate him. Anyone will tell you when they've seen him sparring in the gym, he's a special fighter. He just needs that opportunity. So he's a lovely kid as well. He's such a nice lad. So I'm hoping that all the stars align and it falls into place and he gets his shot soon.
Jame, before I do let you go, just one thing on the heavyweight division I just wanted to get your thoughts on. Obviously, last week it came out that AJ and Fury had agreed to a 2-fight deal in principle, with the financial side of that fight seeming to be agreed. What were your thoughts when you heard it?
Good. Straight away I thought, thank God for that, because how many times do we see fights like this and it drags on for 3 years and then one of them either loses a fight in between and it takes the shine off it. You're talking about two British heavyweights at number 1 and 2 in the world, probably at the peak, fighting each other. It's never happened. And you could have looked at it and thought to yourself, politics-wise, it ain't going to happen. You know, different promoters and stuff like that. But they've sat down, they've worked it out for the good of boxing. Obviously, they're going to get the rewards themselves. But this is a fight for boxing, and it's just I'm so happy because, you know, and don't forget though, they've both got to come through fights first. So they're not foregone conclusions. Anyone who overlooks Deontay Wilder, for instance, you're crazy because he carries scary power. You know, I think AJ's is pretty much more nailed on than the Wilder one, and that's saying something considering how Tyson dealt with him last time. But he's always dangerous, Wilder. So I think ideally I wouldn't like any of them to have interim fights because there's always that risk there of the fight not happening then at the right time. But no, I think it'll happen, and it'll be one of those fights where it gets spoke about for years and years.
I mean, you just mentioned there that you've got the Wilder Pula fights that have to happen first. Obviously, we still don't know a location and, you know, other things around that. The location will have a huge site for you'd imagine, and it may well or most probably happen abroad from what people are saying. From what comfort, though, can people take from last week's announcement, knowing that you've still got those two fights, there's no actual contracts or anything in place? What comfort can people take from the announcement last week?
Well, there's always that risk, but I always say, Andy, you know, Pula for me is made for AJ. I think he's that sort of style where he always looks good against somebody like that tall, upright, sort of Eastern European. And I always said, even before AJ Fury got mentioned, he's too soon for Wilder. Not physically, because he's always got that one punch power, but the mental scars of what's just happened to him, you know, considering of the stature he had before it, of like, you know, people talking about him as potentially the hardest hitting fighter ever. And he has got ridiculous power. But the fall from grace in that short period of time for him psychologically is massive. And I feel it takes a lot longer than 6 months to build that back up. It takes a long time. And there's a lot of money on the line. So that obviously makes it easier for him to go into it, because the risk reward is there. But if he wants to win the fight, I wouldn't have took that fight straight away if I was him. If I'm Deontay Wilder and I'm happy with my career and I'm not really interested about achievement and stuff like that, then maybe you take it for the money. But if I'm Deontay Wilder and I want to re-establish myself and try and regain the heavyweight championship of the world and go on for another couple of years and put me stamp down as one of the best heavyweights of this era, then I'd go away, I'd work on the stuff I needed to work on, I'd try and have an interim fight to get rid of some of those psychological scars, and then maybe try and approach it in, say, 12 months' time. Get a bit of money maybe paid off by someone so that AJ and Fury can go ahead, and then maybe look at fighting the winner of that. But you know, when someone's dangling a 40 million carrot in front of you, is it that easy to walk away? I don't know. I've never had one dangled in front of me.
One other thing we do have to consider as well is mandatories. You've got Usyk as a WBO mandatory and then Dillian Whyte as a WBC. I don't know whether you saw it this morning or not, but it came out that Dillian's going to take legal action. Oh, I've lost you, Jamie. There we go. That's all right. He's come out this morning that Dillian's going to take legal action against the WBC over his mandatory position. What are your thoughts on Dillian's decision to do so? Obviously, Dillian wanting to fight for that title sooner rather than later.
And again, I don't blame him. I think he's, for Dillian Whyte, he's doing the right thing for him. You know, not talking about boxing and the best fights are made, but Dillian Whyte's situation is ridiculous. He's been waiting far too long for his shot, and I don't blame him for taking legal action. He'll probably get it as well. So that could be a spanner in the works if it, you know, depending on how fast it gets processed and pushed through. But you know, he's one of them fighters who's earned his shots. I like Dillian Whyte, man. I love watching him fight. He's a character, and he's improved so much since, you know, the loss to AJ. And he's earned his shot. He's had some good wins, and he deserves it. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because how do you not go with Dillian Whyte? You know, you take that to court and he says, I'm mandatory. I've been in this position. I've had this many fights. I've been waiting this long, and they've not fulfilled it. How do they go against that? I can't see him doing it. So maybe they'll try and settle it out of court and push it through for him. But he does deserve his shot, and I'd love to see that fight. You know, Dillian Whyte if we can't get AJ v Fury, Dillian Whyte v Fury, what a fight! Great fight.
Jamie, I promise you, I've got two more questions before I let you go to the gym. Just whilst we were talking about Wilder Fury earlier on, there's talks about that potentially happening in Australia on Christmas Day. What were your thoughts if we was to see that?
I seen that the other day. Well, my first thought was Rocky Four, because that's where Rocky fought Ivan Drago Christmas Day, wasn't it? So yeah, I mean, who's going to go? Who's going to go on Christmas Day? It's an odd day to pick it on. December is always good. He's always busy for boxing because everyone wants to box and then try and relax over Christmas. I don't see or foresee anyone boxing on Christmas Day. It's just crazy. Where do you get your numbers from? I can't imagine me coming home to the missus and going, listen, love, I've got a ticket for Wilder v Fury, and what I'll do is I'll have Christmas breakfast with you instead, and then you won't see me for the rest of the day and going out with the lads. I can't see that happening. So it might be a great idea, but only in the movies, I think. And
the final thing, Jamie, obviously, just whilst we was talking about Dillian Whyte earlier on, there was some talk about a potential cross-sport clash between himself and Francis Ngannou of the UFC. If we was to see about Jamie again, something you'd be interested in?
Ngannou, he was training at the UFC facility when we was over there with Frampton. And what I love the guy is he sound and he eats like a mule. I was watching him doing pad work on the body belt with his coach, and he was lifting him off his feet. So he obviously carries dynamite power, but being able to get that off against a boxer who's been doing it all his life is a different kettle of fish. We're used to taking full-blooded shots, and UFC fighters I don't think are, even though they're in smaller gloves. So it's intriguing. I'd like to see it, but I don't think it'd be competitive. I think Dillian Whyte, he's so experienced as a boxer. And bear in mind, that's if it happens in a boxing ring. If he was talking about cross sports and bringing some rules in, then I don't know. But I think Dillian Whyte's got a bit of a kickboxing background, hasn't he? Yeah. So that'd make it more interesting. If it was just a boxing match, then I'd have to go with Dillian Whyte all day.
All right, Jamie, we'll leave that there, like I say. But before you go, what would you like to say to everyone who tunes in to watch our interview?
I say, listen, I hope everyone stays safe, keeps well, and I'm looking forward to the new boxing season, the new invented boxing season, because from whenever it picks up again, that'll be the start of the new one.
Jamie, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you once again. Please send my apologies to the rest of the gym for making you turn up a little late today. But I hope to speak to you soon. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social, and stay safe.
Take care, mate. You too.